Let's talk about retail first, but I want to ask you something because you live in the UK and you spend a lot of time. There's a lot of retailers here that exist there and vice versa. How is Brexit playing out from a retail perspective?
Terribly. And
Are people bunkered down? They're just like, I don't spend any money. We don't know what's going to happen.
I think it's two things. People are bunkered down in some sense because they just don't know what's going to happen. And the other thing is that when you think about the retailers, they purchase in dollars. So the sterling, as it weakens, it hurts their margins. So I think overall, it's just management are sitting back and saying, do we spend? Do we not spend? Do we invest? Do we hire? Or do we just kind of hold back and bunker down? And it's very similar to what's happening in the States right now.
It's important for investors to know because there's a lot of there's a lot of American retailers that are there and European retailers that are here, but there's also a lot of U.S. retailers that own chains in the UK and Europe that we don't even think about. Absolutely. Or they have investments in them. There's a risk to U.S. retailers because of Brexit.
It's huge, and you'd be surprised to know that for many U.S. retailers and brands, up to 30 to 40% of their business is in Europe. We're talking about a PVH, we're talking about an Abercrombie,
40%?
Up to, Guess is hugely exposed to Europe. You know, Abercrombie's got about 20% of their business in the UK.
Abercrombie and Fitch is that big in the UK?
In Europe. So you have to think globally now. You can't just think about what's happening in the US. Most of these retailers, Ralph Lauren is 20% in Europe. You've got to think about the piece of the puzzle and what's happening over there as well.
Okay, you had the three T's, trade, tariffs, which are related, and Twitter rants, we assume means the fourth T, which is Trump, I suppose. The NRF, the National Retail Federation, show yesterday the CEO of the NRF was on Squawk Box, and I was listening to the interview, and he was talking about how, you know, supply chains, they're disrupted, but they've been disrupted even before the trade fight. Have supply chains started to move away from China even before all this happened? That's
absolutely true. So Matt Shea, who's head of the NRF, I did a podcast with him yesterday, and this was exactly what we talked about, which was, by the way, okay, China obviously poses a risk with increased tariffs. However, China labor has been increasing over time, so a lot of the manufacturing has already moved outside of China. It's gone to Bangladesh, it's gone to Vietnam, it's gone other places, and probably the average apparel player now is about 20% of their manufacturing is exposed to China. So it's not a disaster, but it's, you know, it's certainly going to be under transition, but that transition has already underway. Any chance that will
move back to the United States?
For a couple of retailers, they have brought some of their sourcing back because it reduces lead times. But no, it's simply too expensive here. And think about how wages in retail led by Amazon have gone up and up and up. So it's not logical to think that the cost structure can be transferred back to the U.S.
All right, I'm easily confused, especially at 547. Macy's was the stock was a disaster. The numbers actually didn't seem that bad, but the market reacted strongly. But the MasterCard spending data was pretty good. We've gotten all these mixed signals. Do we still have any idea as to how the holiday really was?
Yeah, so, MasterCard said retail was up 5%. However, great number, the best we've had in years. But this is the problem. It's like the great divide continues. You look at Macy's, their two-year comp was 2%. I mean, if this is the best environment we've ever had, think about next year when the R word is now creeping in, as we heard at the NRF a bit yesterday. But then you look at other players like Target that did a two-year 9% comp. So you've got the winners and the losers, divide bigger than ever.
You know, I do wonder. The mall was, I had to take my daughter to the mall for something last weekend. It was packed. And I know a lot of people have said, you know, don't get me anything. Just give me a gift card. I want to stock up on the sales after Christmas.
Exactly.
Is there any indication that maybe the holiday spending has shifted even after Christmas? It seems like a lot of people are shopping now because we've been trained to think, yeah, it's not romantic and it's not fun to, you know, not have much under the tree or whatever, but fun is getting a lot more for your money.
Actually, I think it's quite the opposite because what you've seen is that the deals and the discounts now start a month before Black Friday.
What about all the gift cards we keep hearing about? When do you spend those?
And those are spent January, February, and yes, they're still an important piece of the puzzle, but you're still
seeing... That's what I just said.
It's an important piece, but you're still seeing the shift to before because the discounts, particularly the week before Christmas, are getting bigger and bigger, and that lull in mid-December is getting bigger and bigger. So retailers panic into the holiday and press that discount button. So
nobody says I'm wrong nicer and more politely than you do.
I try to, just put it in a nice package.
Where's a couple